Ticket Machine is the official ticket broker of Spartan Nation. No matter what you need a ticket for, border to border, coast to coast, the Ticket Machine is your ticket source. So whether you need to get into the hottest concerts, the best sporting events, you want the best seats in the house, or you just want to get in the door, when you want to go to any event that requires a ticket, anywhere, border to border, coast to coast, it's always theticketmachine.com. Theticketmachine.com, 517-655-3201. Check it out today at theticketmachine.com.
This show is a simple premise. You sit back and let me download all of my sports information into your brain, so when you go to work tomorrow, you sound like the smartest human being on the planet.
Conroy, it's a fake. Bates is going to throw. He's going. Touchdown! Michigan State wins it in overtime.
6.6 left. Draymond Green finds Lucius for the win. He got it! Spartans move to the Sweet 16.
Them Spartans playing like they got ice water in their veins, baby.
Three-man rush. Cousins on the last play of regulation. Chucks it to the end zone. Caught! Michigan State's caught it on a rebound.
Are you kidding me?
After further review, the runner did cross the line.
Touchdown! Michigan State.
Now, it's time for Spartan Nation Radio with your benevolent dictator, me, Hondo Carpenter.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Spartan Nation Radio. I am your benevolent dictator and host, Hondo Carpenter. As always, it is great to have you with us. Thank you for joining us. When you have a career like I do and you grow up playing sports, around sports, and then get into sports journalism, you have a lot of heroes. This next guest who's going to join us for the entire hour is a dear hero of mine. One of my greatest memories of him was my father loved him. My father used to call him the real galloping ghost because my father said once he touched the ball, you never know where he was. He would just end up in the end zone. And I'll never forget sitting in a barber shop once, and I was rather young. I mean, we were in Lansing, and my father was getting his hair cut. And sitting across from my father was me, and next to me was an older black gentleman. And my father and I and this gentleman and the barber were talking about football and Spartan sports. And the black gentleman said to my father, when he knew how much my father loved this next guest, he said, he's a great hero for black Americans. And my father pulled away from the barber, stuck his finger out at the gentleman and said, don't say that in front of my son. He's a great example for all Americans, regardless of color. I want my son to be like him. And I'll never forget the shock and amazement on the man's face when he said to my dad, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. I just never thought in my lifetime I would hear a white gentleman say that. And my dad said, Clinton Jones is the greatest Spartan football player of all time who happens to be black. It has nothing to do with his character. And I'll never forget the impression that made on the man that was sitting there with me and the impression it made on me. He has gone on to be not only my hero, but become one of my very dear friends. I love him greatly. The awesome one, the great one of the greatest Spartan football players of all time, Dr. Clinton Jones. Dr. Jones, how are you, sir?
I'm doing very well, Hondo. Thank you for asking.
When you hear stories like that, and I've told you that story before, but when you hear stories about how you transcended race and you transcended time and the impact you made because of football, but not because of it, what does that mean to you as a man?
It means to me that I have a mission and a purpose in life to realize my fullest potential so that I can be encouraging to especially the youth. And your father actually saw something in me that at that time I certainly wasn't thinking in that way about myself in terms of things that I was doing and the impact that it would have on my environment. I was just living a dream and actually going through a process that I'm more appreciative as I look back now, the impact that I've been able to have, along with all the people that supported me and along with people that I was playing with, because nothing in my life happened in a vacuum. It happened because of first of all my determination, but also the good fortune to be surrounded by like-minded people and people that were trying to enable me to bring out my fullest potential. And that was a great fortune that I had to be able to attend the high school that enabled me to go to Michigan State. And then because of Michigan State and the record that we had, enabled me to go even further.
You went to Cathedral Latin School in Cleveland. I'm curious, was it a Latin school? I mean, did they teach you Latin, or was that just the name of it?
Well, that's interesting. They did teach Latin. As a matter of fact, they had 3 curriculums. One was vocational. Vocational actually prepared the students for the students that were going to go into work right after high school. The college preparatory program consisted of humanities and scientific. So if you're going to the college prep program, you had to take a language. You either had to take Spanish, German, or Latin. And so I chose Spanish because it was an all-boys school, and it was a school. I think it started out in 1916. Matter of fact, this is the 100th anniversary year of the school, which I'll be going back to, and and it had a lot of, I think, 4 archbishops came from that school. And at one time, the attendance for a game was second only to Ohio State.
Dr. Jones, I'm just curious because obviously you're a very successful doctor now. You live out west, but you are from Cleveland. I'm just curious, as a native Clevelander, what does the Cavs winning a title mean to you?
Well, Cleveland needed that. Cleveland needed the Cavaliers, needed it. And actually, that game was a great lesson in life to never give up. And the determination of LeBron James is truly amazing because, he's born and raised in Akron, which is only 22 miles from Cleveland. And then he left, went to Miami, and he came back, To have that kind of determination, he is gifted and he's exceptional. But, the city of Cleveland at one time was a dead city, pretty much like Detroit. Now Cleveland is a model, the business model for bringing back a city. And through Cleveland Clinic, they've accomplished, they really rebuilt that city, and it's kind of the go-to place now and a model for so many cities that have been struggling, like Detroit. So, but sports-wise, they haven't had a championship there in since 1962. And sports is culture. What sports does is it brings people together, transcending all boundaries. Of course, sometimes people get a little bit overboard with their enthusiasm. So this was very, very crucial for Cleveland. And I could see the determination in spite of all. A lot of people don't want to give LeBron James the credit that he deserves. But I would say his single-minded determination to win no matter what had a tremendous impact not only on his team, but the whole city. It was like it revitalized Cleveland. And so I'm very happy for them, and I'm proud that what they've accomplished. And it's just it's a model that all of us, as long as we don't give up on ourselves, all of us have to have a dream, but we need to be single-mindedly determined to accomplish it no matter what. Never give up. Never give up. I don't care what you go through. And youth is a time to experience a lot of challenges and difficulties so that we can develop a type of life condition, life force, that when we overcome obstacles, that we won't be defeated, because that's what life is about.
Doctor, you, growing up in Cleveland, went to a very good high school, but I'm just curious, as you in the early 60s, before you came to Michigan State and got here in 63, I'm just curious, in 60, 61, 62, when there wasn't a lot of games on football, what did it mean to you as a black man from inner city Cleveland when you would turn on a TV and see Michigan State with so many black players?
Wow. Well, you're talking about 60 and 61, I have to say that Michigan State wasn't even on my radar at that time. Ohio State was a team that I knew about. I remember running back at Navy, Joe Bellino. There, of course, I was a Cleveland Browns fan. And the Cleveland Browns always had more black players than any other team. So I watched Jim Brown, I watched Bill Willis, I watched Mayor Motley, I watched Bobby Mitchell and Jim Brown. They're my heroes. So in my junior year, in the fall of 1961, I was playing on the team. I was one of two black players. There were only 20 black students in the whole school. And so, and then my senior year, we had two black players, myself and somebody else. But I became aware of Michigan State through Woody Hayes. Woody Hayes saw me, and he wasn't interested in me until he saw me run in the track meet, the state track meet in the horseshoe at Ohio State University. And I broke the national record in the high and low hurdles. And I was 6 feet, weighing 196 pounds. Then he became interested. And but at that time, I was primarily interested in going to a Catholic university because of my experience in college. In high school at Cathedral Latin School. However, because of one of my coaches, one of my mentors, Dick Marabito, when I told him I wanted to go to the University of Detroit because they interested me, and be very frankly, Honda, I was interested in anybody that was interested in me. And actually, Bob Devaney was the first one, and he signed me to a contract, but we signed it early, and because we signed it early, and I leaked it out that I signed the date, Woody Hayes found out about it. He voided the contract. He said, "Now you can come to Ohio State," and I very politely said, "Well, let me think about it." But I had no intention of going to Ohio State. I wanted to get out of the state of Ohio as well as Cleveland, and so I wanted to take a trip to Detroit, and so then I wanted to go there. But my coach said, I don't think Big Long like that's a good place for you to go, and I know some people. I want you to go take a trip to Michigan State. Well, when I went to Michigan State, that Michigan State is a land-grant university had nationwide, I had no idea. All I did, when I saw that campus, I fell in love with campus. So that campus. And for me, I said, my life was synchronized with that university and campus. And I said, what? I got to give a chance to any other freshman coming here. This is where I want to go to school. It was out of Cleveland. It was out of the state of Ohio. I made a vow to myself that I was leaving Ohio when I was 13 years old. I had no idea where I was going, but that was my determination because, I didn't like the racial situation in Cleveland. And so when I saw the university with the arboreums and the Red Cedar River, somehow it connected with my life, Honda. And so that's Hank Buller and Jim McVeigh introduced me to Duffy, and they took me on the campus and we went golfing. And I didn't meet any of the other freshmen because I'd actually already graduated from high school. So it's very mystical. I wound up going to Michigan State because I think I probably got the last scholarship.
Wow.
So, it's funny how things worked out. And I wasn't a star football player in high school. I only scored 2 touchdowns.
Wow.
And I didn't start till my senior year. So you take all I consider is very, so when I look at my life and I look at other young people that are trying to have a dream, I say, you can do anything that you set your mind to. If you have that inner determination, somehow the environment will provide the opportunity. And it's, and so it was a fortune. I had that, I had that opportunity. And that's all I asked Duffy. I said, just, sir, would you just give me the opportunity to play? And he said, I will.
Wow.
And the rest is history.
He's the great Dr. Clinton Jones. Now, I get criticism every time I have him or Baba Pisa on this show because I still call them Doctor and Nister. And I want you to know something. Dr. Jones is my friend. He has told me before I can call him Clinton, but I will not do that. He is my elder. He is a doctor. He deserves the respect. I will always call him doctor. That's just the way it's going to be, but he's my dear friend and I love him. Dr. Jones, as you know, I was very close to Bubba Smith, and the only reason I call Bubba Bubba and not Mr. Smith is because he literally told me once he was going to punch me in the face if I called him Mr. again. So I told him for him I would give him that break. But I've told you this before. It's no secret. Bubba Smith said on this show, the greatest offensive player he ever watched was you. The greatest defensive player was George Webster. And if anyone knew Bubba, the fact that he didn't say he was the greatest really told you the respect that you and George Webster had in his eyes. I had another similar experience recently. My friend Larry Fowler, you may remember him, an All-American Spartan left tackle. He was there with Biggie, won 2 national titles in Michigan State's first Big Ten championship. I was laying with him on his deathbed, and we were talking Spartan football. And I just said to him, who's the greatest football player you've ever seen? And he said, on football, it's Bubba Smith, but on defense, he goes, but on offense, it's a guy that came after me at Michigan State, but he's the greatest of all time. He goes, OJ couldn't hold this guy's tennis shoes. He said Clinton Jones. To still be getting that respect, I know means a lot to you, doesn't it?
It does. It's amazing because I tell you, Michigan State, I was even in awe watching Sherman Lewis play. You know, he just inspired me so much, you know. And then I look at the great players that came after me. I said Lorenzo White, Allen. You know, Allen's an amazing player. You know, there's so, you know, how can you really measure the greatness of athletes when so many have such talent and accomplish, you know, so much, you know, on the field. You know, people I was surrounded with at Michigan State, I never wanted to let them down, especially with Duffy. I didn't want to let my teammates down. And that motivation was so strong that I feel a real kinship with LeBron James. I think, you know, I can see that in his in his whole life. How, you know, he didn't want to let his team down. You know, what would bother me more than anything else is not to be able to contribute and help my team win. And that, you know, and I would have given my life. That's how I felt about it. So that was, you know, I think a lot of people would not agree with Bubba, you know, or Wayne, you know, but you know, it's quite an honor, you know, it's quite a testimony. I couldn't have done it without my brothers. I tell you that, though. I couldn't have done it.
Dr. Jones, in 63, your freshman year, freshmen were not allowed to play, but in 64, you had 72 carries for 350 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 catch. That catch was also a touchdown of 15 yards. In 65, you had 185 carries for 900 yards, 10 touchdowns, 27 catches for 314 yards and 2 touchdowns. And in 66, 59 carries, 784 yards, 6 TDs, and 6 catches for 85 yards. Bubba Smith said to me that one of the most frustrating things about leaving Michigan State and going to the pros is that you left for teams that weren't as good as what you had at Michigan State. Do you agree with that?
That we left for teams that weren't as good as Michigan State?
Yeah, he talked about being in the pros, and he said he remembered, Bubba did, he would be on the team. Now, not obviously later in his career where he had some success, but he talked about being on the team thinking in the first part of training camp, wow, I played with a bunch of guys at Michigan State who were better than a lot of these guys. Did you experience that?
Well, I have to say it's another level, but I'll tell you one thing. That's a real difficult question, That's real difficult. You know, these guys at that level, they're playing now for their livelihood, and they're like, it's it took on a whole different meaning. It's a business, and I come to learn that business of football and that level has tremendous implications in a young man's life, especially when you've been playing for so many years. I had the fortune that it never was in my mind that I was trying to make the team, and but I have to say that when I was with Minnesota, I wanted to be able to contribute more, much more, and I felt that, honestly, felt that they really didn't know how to use me, but still, my attitude was, no matter what, this is a team sport. As long as we're winning, that's the most important thing. And my professional career, we're champions with Minnesota. So I went from a national championship team in college, and then went to Minnesota. That turned into be a great, great team and have a legacy there with the Purple People Eaters. So for me, it went on to to another level, and when you go to another level, it becomes more complicated. There are another dynamics of living, then being married, and this, it's a whole another. And then also, it's so much different from the purity of the college campus. I think that has been diluted through the years because of the obsession with materialism and the bling bling and all that kind of stuff. But at that time, my sole interest was being able to contribute to the team in any way that I could. And of course, I still had the dream. I wanted to be the best. But I think that when I went on to seeing guys that kind of mirrored and professional types of guys that we had at Michigan State, we weren't a really big team offensively. And the same thing happened in Minnesota. We weren't a big team offensively. But you know what? We had guys that you looked at, you if you see them out of the uniform, you never think they were playing football. Alan Page and that recruiting class from Minnesota in 1967 brought something very, very special. And that spirit that I certainly got as a Spartan, I brought that with me with the Minnesota Vikings, and I think that was one of the reasons that they drafted me.
He is
you know what I mean?
Yep. He is the great Dr. Clinton Jones. We've got to get to a commercial break. We're up against it, but we'll be right back with more from Dr. Clinton Jones next.
When you need tickets to any event, border to border, coast to coast, or around the world, there's only one source for your tickets. It's theticketmachine.com, the official ticket broker of Spartan Nation. You can reach them at 517-655-3201 or 888-887-4411. When you need tickets to any event, whether it's just to get in the door or you want the best seats in the house, go to www.theticketmachine.com, the official ticket broker of Spartan Nation.
Before you know it, and you better believe.
Welcome back to Spartan Nation Radio. I'm your host, Hondo Carpenter. We're joined for the entire hour of the show by former NFL and Spartan great, now a doctor out in California, the great Dr. Clinton Jones. Dr. Jones, after you finished your career with Michigan State, a lot of people don't know this, but the New York Giants, and this is what I found fascinating to me, you were originally drafted by the Vikings in '67. that pick was interesting because the Vikings had done that pick in exchange for quarterback Fran Tarkington. So a lot of people don't know you were traded for Fran Tarkington. I think the Vikings got a pretty good deal on that with getting you.
Well, I think I got a pretty good deal on it too. I knew I was going to New York when they said Minnesota, because they had been trying babysitting me and prepping me, and I thought I was going to be going to New York, and I had family there, and I was kind of looking forward to it. But I wound up going to Minnesota, and it turned out to be a great, great deal for me. I'm really, of all the teams that I could have went to, Minnesota somehow was the best team.
Wow. Dr. Jones, you were selected as the number 2 overall pick in the 1967 draft, and I'm just curious. I mean, that's a tremendous honor. And when you look at how big the draft has gotten, now it's 3 days in prime time. Are you able to appreciate getting picked that high and just the respect that really showed for you?
Oh, absolutely, Hondo. Absolutely. I mean, that's it's how rare that is. Out of all the players in the country, to have to be picked up with. I mean, the rarity of that, they have Bubba number 1, I'm number 2, George Webster 5, and Gene Washington 8. That even over time, you look back, the rarity of that, and the impact that we made, especially at that time, you didn't have the social media that you have today. There's a whole generation of baby boomers that will always remember the 10-10 tie. And they're like a generation of people that, especially, all Americans remember the dynamics of that team at the time. Notre Dame and Michigan State, they're, guys my age, 10 years younger and 10 years older, that there's a 20-year span or more that really appreciate the significance of that time and the caliber of players that are brought and how the game was. Because so much of it was related to life. It was very organic, very kind of, it was just blue collar. It was just you know what I mean? That's kind of just, it wasn't hype. It was real, just kind of blue collar, sport and football, and it just, the players made the game. The fans made the game. You remembered teams because they weren't all over the place. You remembered people. Now it's hard to remember people. It's hard to remember one season from the next because it's almost like overkill.
Right. Dr. Jones, you and Baba Pisa have worked together and collaborated together to make an amazing movie. The movie is called Men of Sparta. People can get a preview of it if they go to menofsparta.com. I'm just curious about your pride in this production and your thoughts on it. It's going to be released at the Traverse City Film Festival in the end of July. I'm hoping to be up there. I hope you're there. We may even do a radio show from up there. But can I get your thoughts on this movie and the whole production with Bob?
Well, I got an opportunity to see a preview of it, of the whole movie, and what you're going to see in Traverse City is going to be even a more polished version of what I saw. And that movie had a very, very tremendous impact on my emotions and on my life because it's told by the people the way that Bob did this documentary. And it's told by the people that lived the experience. And it's something that the great historian and scholar Howard Zinn, the people's history of the United States, the people's history of the world, the way it's done is just it really, I laughed, I cried, I reminisced, and it brought out things real deep in my life. Our conscious mind can only hold so much, but when things get you real, real deep in your life, you feel like, wow, this is really very impactful, and it's very important right now.
Is there any chance, Doctor, that you're going to be up in Traverse City for that preview?
Well, I'm going to have to try to make it happen, just even talking to you. I know Bob wants me to be there, I got so much going on, I'm gonna do my best to make it, I think, I know that I should probably be there, but, I just don't know at this time, but I'm just even talking, I'm going to do my best.
Well, good. If you're there, I hope you'll join me for the radio show. I'm just curious, how special is it to you, just this project in general, that long after you live, this story will still be told?
I told Bob yesterday, we talked, I said, Bob, you have immortalized us with this project, with this documentary.
Huh.
It'll be there, and I'm going to be very honest about this. Jimmy Ray's book, the Ray of Light.
Yep.
Not enough people have read that, and as a matter of fact, disappointing to me that not enough players or students in that school have read that book. But we live in a very visual and media environment over the past couple of decades, and especially the millennium generation. So I think that seeing this documentary, will be so impactful that it will, encourage people to really read Jimmy Ray's book.
Again, tell everyone the name of Jimmy's book.
Ray of Light by Tom Shanahan and Jimmy Ray.
Now, for those of you wondering, we are going to try to have Jimmy Ray on the show tomorrow, and so we'll make sure we talk to him about his book and let him know that you absolutely promoted it, which I'm sure he'll greatly appreciate from you, Dr. Jones. We are talking to the great Clinton Jones. They don't come any better than him as a man and as a human being, just an all-around good guy, terrific father, great grandfather, an awesome doctor, and I'm going to tell you from personal experience, a wonderful friend. I love him dearly. We'll be right back with more on the Spartan Nation Radio Network. SMD Law is the official law firm of Spartan Nation, serving the entire state of Michigan from the Upper Peninsula to the Lower Peninsula, with offices in East and West Michigan. They're your full-service attorney firm, whether it's elder law, whether it's criminal law, civil law, just a letter to an annoying neighbor. If it requires an attorney for you, it's SMD Law. Find them on the internet at smdalaw.com. Call them 866-529-3537 or 586-264-3756. Call first, then you act. Welcome back to Spartan Nation Radio. I am your host, Hondo Carpenter. We're joined by the one and the only, the great Dr. Clinton Jones, Spartan great, NFL great, now a doctor. Dr. Jones, I want to go back to playing for Duffy Daugherty. There are so many great stories. Could you share some of those with our listeners?
Yes. One of the most funniest stories, and I found out later, I knew more about it later on, but Duffy had designed this play, and this go against Michigan, Ohio State University. So essentially, it's supposed to go to the left, and he made a bet with some of the coaches, Hank Buller, this is not going to work. So Duffy said, well, it will work, so this is not going to work, Duffy. He said, it's going to work. He said, you got so-and-so on this side of the field, and they're not going to let that happen. They're going to be prepared for them. So anyway, during the game, we ran that play, and it didn't work. And so what I did, I reversed my field and ran in the opposite direction, ran 85 yards for a touchdown. And so Duffy told the coach, after he said, well, you owe me a case of beer. I told you it would work.
Oh.
And that was a great deal of satisfaction. It worked, not the way they thought it would, but it worked. So he won, and of course, it was a great deal of satisfaction for me because as I wasn't thinking this as I ran past Woody Hayes because they're on the opposite side of the field, but I'm sure like it just really was a claw. It really got to him because I didn't go to Ohio State, and he was not very, very kind to me when he found out I was going to Michigan State. He kind of slandered me and told me that I wouldn't amount to very much by going to Michigan State. So
now wait, I want to ask his question. So Woody Hayes, who's the one that steered you to Michigan State, then got mad at you for going there?
No, it wasn't Woody Hayes that steered me. It was Coach Dick Marabito, my football and track coach.
Okay, I'm sorry. I misunderstood you. Okay, good. Oh, wow, that's amazing.
No, Woody Hayes saw me running on his campus. My coaches had tried to get him interested, but he never responded. But then when he saw me on his campus, I broke the state and national record in the 120-yard high hurdles, and tied it for the 180-yard low hurdles.
Wow!
Then he saw size and speed. He was interested then, but I had no intention of going to Ohio State, none whatsoever. So, but I didn't tell him that and to his face. But when I got home, he kept bugging me and calling me every few days and just kind of hounding me to go there. And finally, when I told him I was going to Michigan State, he said, "You're gonna go up there with he said call him a crook. Talking about George Sains." I said, "Who's George Sains?" I didn't even know who George Sains was. Matter of fact, I didn't really know that much about Michigan State.
Wow.
And so that was just like we beat them. We beat the Bucks 2 years in a row, and that was some very good karma for us, and retribution for us for his slander of me.
I want to ask you a little bit. I have asked everyone else this question, but I've never asked you. Who is the greatest defensive player that you ever played against and the best offensive player you ever saw?
Wow. Period, college, or
yep.
like...
Yep, it doesn't matter.
Deacon Jones on defense.
I loved him.
Deacon Jones was also a very close friend of mine. Deacon Jones, and and as a running back was Jim Brown, But I'll tell you though, Jim Brown. But it's a different era. But I have to tell you, Barry Sanders, for his size and the team that he played on, how can you match Barry Sanders?
Yeah, I agree with that one. What were you saying, Dr. Jones?
Yeah, he was just absolutely amazing. But I'll tell you somebody that gave me the greatest pleasure in watching run, and even when we'd be on opposing teams, was Lem Barney. Lem Barney just thrilled me so much, was his all-around athleticism that I just even though he was my opponent, he put a smile on my face. Even when we were playing them. And his just enthusiasm on the field and just lightheartedness, that's something he gave me a great deal of pleasure playing against him and watching him run those punts back and kickoffs back and out. He was just be like a little mosquito, just weaving through, dancing around and stuff like that. So, but there's so many great players. There's so many, They just all deserve all the credit and accolades. It's just one of those things. But ones I named, it my choice is Deacon Jones and Jim Brown. But Barry Sanders, I have to say, he didn't have the size as Jim Brown. He didn't have the size, and he didn't have the team. But actually, in a sense, he did more than anybody.
We're talking to the one.
I'd have to say that, in my opinion, he's the greatest. And then he came out of the game on his own admission. He came out, he was still the winner no matter what. I wish they'd have given an opportunity to be in a better team. But Barry Sanders is one just the greatest of the greatest.
He is one of the greatest. He's one of the greatest himself. The great Dr. Clinton Jones. We'll be right back.
We don't gotta work it out, 'cause no one's gonna tell you where to find me when you come looking for me, 'cause I'll be walking out the door before you know it, and you better believe.
Welcome back to Spartan Nation Radio. We're being joined by a living legend, the great one himself, Dr. Clinton Jones. You guys all know him. You love him. He is one of the greatest Spartan athletes of all time. He is a legend. He is a man who, outside of football, lives up to that legend in character. I will tell you this. I will put Dr. Jones's character up against anyone. Anyone, doesn't matter who. And the thing that I love about Dr. Jones is, even if you don't agree with him on everything, he brings a level of educated opinion to everything. The man is brilliant, and on top of it, he is as genuine as they come. If America and the world was more genuine and real like Dr. Jones, this would be a better place. So although you love him as a football player, I can tell you as his friend, he's an even better human being. Dr. Jones, I want to stick on a thread with you because there's something that you and I share, and it's a commitment to reaching out to young people. We live in a society where it doesn't matter what color you are, it doesn't matter what gender you are, and it doesn't matter what socioeconomic group or what political party. We live in a society where we have a lot of children that don't have men in their life who are being fathers, who are mentoring, who are being great role models. And I don't care who you vote for president, if we don't fix raising men to be men. I'm not talking about macho. I'm not talking about, but to be men, to be masculine, to be educated, to be kind, to be all those things that real men are. We're in trouble as a country, and I think you and I agree on this, don't we?
We certainly do. We certainly do. I just, this is so, so, so important to really care for our youth, and it's important to give youth an essential understanding of history rather than a superficial one. This is very, very important. America, has made, some negative causes worldwide, over many, many years. However, we're a country that I think the thing that stands out globally is that we're a country we can turn poison into medicine. We live in a time now of uncertainty and a lot of violence, a lot of disrespect for the dignity of human life. But everybody in the world wants to come here to America. Now, why is that? Because it's our potential to be everything that our Constitution and everything that it stands for. to really be an America of courage, to really be America of capable people, to really be a unified America, so that we can show that regardless of our past, and we all know, our history, regardless of the past and regardless of the situation right now, we can. Everybody has potential to make a difference. For going on 40 years, I've been devoted to world peace. That's my mission in life. World peace through individual happiness, to treasure each and every individual. And I belong to an organization, a value-creating society, a Buddhist lay organization that embraces all of humanity, all religions, to coexist with all religions, regardless of political or philosophical background. Because the bottom line is, all this other stuff is just labeled. We're human beings.
Yes. And
human beings that suffer the most deserve to be the happiest. But we got to start with our young people. And we have to give them, we have to understand that's our mission. Our youth, actually, they are the treasure of the nation. They're the wealth, of our future. That's what we have to, we have to get at the root cause of what this country's going through. That's why we're having these problems. There are no unsolvable situations. We need to do this before it's too late. We need to look at what's most important. The young people. Your son Duffy, my grandchildren, these, we have to protect them. If we protect the youth, we'll protect their parents. We have to protect. That's the most important thing. And what does it mean to be a human being? And I have to say this, look, I feel this way. We kind of live in a world where the heroes are the ones that dominate militarily. Who has the biggest gun? But you know who the real heroes are, in my opinion? They're the ones that can dialogue. To come together and dialogue and to really, that takes real courage. Because the bottom line is that we're all human beings. We made these problems, and just like President Kennedy said, we're the only ones that can solve them.
I agree.
Good and evil coexist. It depends on what road we want to take. We want to take the road of the good wolf or the bad wolf.
He is the great Dr. Clinton Jones. They come no better than him. No better than him. No better than him. No better than him.